welcome to another episode of Fly Nubian Money. I am your host, Laura Lalaki, international real estate agent. And as always, we're here to help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we're discussing a topic that's personal for so many Black millennial women. We were raised to be independent, career-driven, and self-sufficient. But now we're being criticized for waiting too long to start families. So to break this down, I'm joined by our brilliant queens, Athena Gardner, CPA and wealth coach, Constance Carter, our wealth activist, Dr. Lene, brand your brilliance coach, and Noma, M3 program, marriage, motherhood, and money making. Now, how's that for a title? You know it's going to be good today. Now, listen, everybody knows how we do it on here. For those who are here every single day, you know we don't talk at you, we talk with you. So go ahead and put those comments in the chat so that we can have further discussions. Maybe you got something that we didn't think about. Maybe it's just something you got to say. But make sure that you chat with us so that we can get you included in the conversation. So in order for us to start this conversation, let's check out this little interview and get the party started.
I want to dismantle this thought that it's too late.
Yes.
Because I think that I'm a millennial, and like millennial women were really set up for the okie doke because they told us from when we were little, don't depend on anybody. Make sure you get your own. Always be independent. Go to college. Get an education. Don't have a don't put a man before your, like, we were hammered. The messaging was go to college, have something that you can stand on, and then think about a man and a baby. And a lot of us did that, and what that did was it made us older, entering motherhood, our age, we started thinking about making a family later, and then I feel like we just got shamed on the back end, and we were like, wait a minute, but I thought this is what we were supposed to do.
Right.
Well, she said it, and I can't say that I disagree with her. I'm 54. I always forget how old I am. I'll be 55 next month. But we do have some millennials here. So I'm actually going to ask this question of all of our queens. And not only that, I do want to hear from the chat if this is something that you have dealt with in your life, and are you still struggling with it, or are you okay to proceed the way that you are in happiness? So I'm going to start with you, Constance. How were you raised to view success? And was it more about independence or starting a family?
That's an interesting question. And that's not something I ever thought about. I mean, I think, the older we look at the older generations, like my parents got married very young. My mom was 17. My dad was like 20. So when I was 22, I got married, and it was encouraged. And so I guess I was encouraged to, go to school and then, get grown and get married. I definitely don't encourage. I tell my kids, and even when I was married, it wasn't bad at that point, but I used to say, don't do what mommy and daddy does. But I do believe that, you shouldn't get married before your prefrontal cortex is developed. And so I think anything prior to 25 that I teach my children is something that they shouldn't do. But I think, to answer your question, I was raised it was kind of both, but I think it was more like the thought was, get grown and get married. It wasn't to be independent.
I have to say the same thing. I mean, it was traditional roles in my family, and not that they didn't encourage me to get education, but I don't think it was really talked about like being successful, like, just get your education so you can take care of yourself. So I think a lot of us in the age bracket that I am, and I believe I'm the oldest on the panel, were raised that way. And it wasn't necessarily a conversation for us. So Noma, I'm going to ask you, how were you raised to view success? Was it more about your independence or starting a family?
To be honest, it was never presented as an either or. Getting married and having a family was considered normal. I grew up with a mom and a dad, and they grew up with a mom and dad, and all my mom's sisters have husbands. It was just the norm, right? And then because we were I think my mom was the first generation to kind of have a career and all that. They would in the background be saying, "Ooh, get you a career, get you a career," but it was not openly discussed. And that was because women were just testing out the waters in terms of what independence can do. They didn't know what, this is Botswana. Now, in America, they had started having independent women sooner, like in the 60s, I think it was. When I was growing up, I was born in the late 70s. It was 80s, 90s, and they were just kind of starting to feel out what this independence thing is. So it was kind of like, okay, go for it, but don't ever abandon the structure of family, which is marriage and children and putting family first. And that's still true now.
You're mute, Lala.
Yeah, Gremlins. I have to agree with that. I think it's just kind of assumed that that's what we're going to do, even if we have a job, that we're still going to have that traditional role in our households, and that's just what is expected. So I'm going to toss that same question to you, Dr. Lene. How were you raised to view success, and was it more about independence or starting a family?
I'm going to say, I don't think it was either or as much as security, right? So it wasn't be independent, and it wasn't you have to have a family. It was make sure that you create an environment where you can take care of yourself, whether that be you as an individual, you within your family, you academically, you with education. When I first found out I was pregnant with my son, my mom she wasn't frantic. She asked me 2 questions. Can you do it by yourself? And do you want to? Like, if everything goes awry, are you in a position to take care of what needs to be taken care of? So the goal is always a family. The goal is always 2 people and to have those things, but not to throw away your own personal desires and goals for it, but to hopefully have them in tandem, in parallel, but not to focus on one more than the other. But that's not what I did. But I think that if the question is what was taught to me, it was more so, do it the right way, get married, have kids, have a career, do all of those things, but not necessarily either or.
Right. And this is what I'm hearing across the board. So now I'm going to ask you, Athena, same question. How were you raised to view success? And was it more about your independence or starting a family?
I don't think that I was raised to view that as a either or. It's more of like a and. But if I would say what we had more open discussions about, my dad definitely encouraged me to, pursue higher education and a career, which I recommend for women in general. So, but I think I also grew up in a Caribbean culture where domestic activities is the norm. So there wasn't really a need to have a conversation about it because that was just reality.
Okay, so it sounds like we're all across the board, regardless, that we all have about that same thing. It wasn't a either or type of thing. It wasn't necessarily discussed. But let's check out some stats. Marriage trends. The median age for a first marriage in the United States has increased significantly. In 1980, it was 22.8 years for women. By 2022, it had risen to 28.6 years. And only 44% of millennials born between 1981 and 1996 are married, compared to 61% of baby boomers when they were the same age. Now, I think this is interesting in the fact that we're looking at different times. But let's continue to look at the childbearing too. Okay, so let's see what it says about that. Birth rates for women in their 30s now surpass those in their 20s, marking a shift in when women are starting families. And women aged 30 to 34 now have the highest fertility rate compared to any other group in the United States of America. Now, here's what's also interesting too. All of us know a lot of these women our age, like Holly, Janet, there's Naomi Campbell, I believe, or one of the models, all have babies when they're 50s. So, and me, no thank you. I had my son at 16. That was it. Didn't want any more. That was enough for me. Proud to say my son is 38 and I am loving the empty nest. But Noma, do you think, before we get into that, let's take a little bit of a break, because I want to really get into this, because this is an important issue for all of us. We'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens, that's Queens, that's Queens, to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
Yes, simple. So simple. Go on and get your little assistant right there. Click the word Queens, Queens, and text it to 87948. You know you don't want to miss none of this. You know you like to come on every single day and have these conversations. Sometimes you like to banter. Sometimes you like to agree. Sometimes you like to argue. But the whole point is, you don't want to miss it. So make sure that you put that word in your phone, Queens, Queens, to 87948. Now let's get back to the conversation, because this is extremely interesting to me. So in Congo says, I think my non-Black American friends are an even balance of domesticity and professional ambition, but my American friends are more focused on career. Ooh, Noma. Do you think a Black woman can balance independence and marriage, or does society often make it feel like they need to make it an either or decision?
Okay, so my disclosure is I actually don't think that we should try to balance them, because you will fail at both. I think that you should, I encourage women to work for themselves and have as much flexibility and creativity as they can, but to put the family and the home first. That's my stance, because I actually tried it the other way, where I tried to juggle. When I retired, I think I was 34, 35. I was a full-time college professor. I had my own business. I had a husband. I had 2 kids. And I felt like I was losing in everything, because I don't think it's humanly possible to juggle all of that. And then I kind of shifted to now where I put family first. I had my own business, but I still put the family first. And that's when the brand was born. And that's why I say marriage, motherhood, and money making in that order. So I know I have a bit of a different view than most people, but I do want to answer to that question of saying Black versus non-Black. For those that don't know me, when I was 19 years old, I moved to the United States and have been there and was there until I was in my 40s. But for the first part of my life, I was born and raised in Botswana. So I did get to see a balance of both. And I will say, yes, in non-African American Black women, they do tend to put family first, but they can because they have more of a village. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in most of the third world, we can afford helpers, like a full-time nanny, a full-time maid. I'm not sure if it's politically correct to call them that. Then you have grandma and aunties, and it's really like a collective. In America, I remember like sometimes bursting out crying because I was doing every damn thing by myself. And for me, it was more outrageous because I didn't see my mother go through that. I didn't see any of my aunts or anybody go through that. And it felt outrageous. Like, why is anybody expected to do this? So I know I do have a bit of a different view.
I don't think it's different, but I don't think that it's any way bad. I mean, it also depends on the person. I feel like if they feel like they can balance that and they're balancing well, then fine. But I have to agree with you. When you have your hands in too many pots, you're not really molting very well. Like, that pot may be crooked when you put it in the kiln because you're rushing to do something else. So I don't necessarily disagree with you at all. Athena, what are your thoughts on the criticism for the millennium women delaying marriage and kids?
I think that the criticism often is centered around us as the issue and doesn't factor men as part of that equation when men is a huge part of that equation. But I want to talk to something that Noma said. I remember growing up in Jamaica, I had a nanny. My parents had help, or we had aunts and cousins. It's more community based. And the issue with the nuclear family in America with the heavy individualistic culture is that when women do step into motherhood, unless you have the finances to create your own village or to get your own nanny, or you just happen to luck up and be born into a family that is community oriented, you are on your own. I remember a few years ago dating, I used to have conversations with working women, women who worked and had families. They were, opened up to me. They had high blood pressure. They had stress. One woman would say after she went she finished her job, she's going to her second shift, which is picking up her kids from daycare, taking care of them until 8 o'clock at night. And then maybe she's lucky to have dinner with her husband. So the issue is women often don't have the support. Now, a lot of us are quote unquote chasing careers because we need to be financially stable. When you look at Black women in particular, if you are not trying to advance yourself economically as a woman, then you are heavily relying on the men to do it, which puts you in a vulnerable position because most of our men are not economically viable enough across the board to support every woman. So I will always say for a woman to, make sure that she prioritizes her economics, whether that's traditional school or having a side business online, however it is, because unfortunately we do not have the luxury, especially women of other races, to just be like, okay, I'm just going to opt out and focus on marriage and hope this man carries me, because there's less of our men willing to do that.
Really great points. And I love that we have two queens on the panel today who can share their experiences in different countries, because that is very important for us to look at. But Dr. Lene, I'm going to switch it up a little bit with you. Why do you think men don't experience the same level of pressure or criticism when delaying a family life?
Why do I think men don't have the same pressure?
Yes. Or do you have the same pressure?
We're raised differently, right? A man, I think the saying goes that women raise their daughters and nurture their sons, or something like that. Parents teach, especially specifically women, teach their daughters to be strong and to be able to take care of yourself and get out the mud, whatever the case might be. With our sons, we don't put that same zest, right? We might teach them to be professional. We might teach them to have careers. We might teach them about school, but a lot of times we're not instilling relationship values or the understanding of the type of, we teach them the type of man you should be. Make sure you hold the door open for the lady. You know what I'm saying? We teach them etiquette, stuff like that, but not necessarily, when are you going to get married? When are you going to settle down? But we do that with women, which, as I'm saying it out loud now, sounds weird, because why would we just do it with women and not men? So these women run around here trying to get married, and men is like, I don't know what to do with myself. But I don't know why we do that. It could be a mental thing, a psychological thing that we have, and we know that men are going to be out there. And listen, don't come from me in the comments, men. I'm going to tell you my experience. Men stay playing around longer. Like, men are going to be out there living their best life longer. They're going to sow their royal oats. So that it takes, I think, in my opinion, it takes them longer to get to a place where they want to settle down. And so we don't even have those conversations with them. But we take, in our community, let me say that, because in other communities, specifically the paler one than ours, they do talk about marriage. They do talk to their sons about being married and when they get married, and they instill in them the institute of marriage and partnership and ways and how you bring two people together so that you can build wealth. Women go to, not us, women go to college to find their husbands. Like, white girls go to school, they're going to get the education in the paper, but they really there to find a husband.
Exactly. I've heard many of my girlfriends growing up in schools, in high school, particularly, now it's time to go husband hunting. They literally said that. I just sat there like, what? No, not for me. Not for me. But Constance, I'm going to ask you a question because you have young men and you have young women. So how do you, and is there a difference with the way that you teach them or have them look at how society norms are? Do you treat them any different in teaching them and expecting them to get something done before going on to the next?
I don't. But it's, we all have very different conversations because they're all very different human beings. So for my daughter is like very comfortable in, I don't have a problem in being single until the right one comes along. I'm not interested in wasting my time, with nobody, no scrubs. And, we just had a conversation last night about, I told her, I said, you weren't ready before because you weren't vibrating at a level that you needed to be in order to attract the type of person that you needed. So now, you got all things, you're firing on all cylinders and, you're working and you got your real estate career and you're just doing all these things. And I think, now you're going to get the people that you attract are going to be higher quality. With my son, like my oldest son talks to me about girls and, hopefully his girls don't watch, but he was home over the break. I think he was dealing with 3 girls, but then had a nerve to be mad because he felt like 2 of them was cheating on him. And I'm like, son, is that, that don't even, your feelings hurt because 2 of them, you think that they dealing with somebody. Make it make sense. But, he's young. He's in college. He's 20. I definitely don't encourage them, none of them, to settle down at this point. But I encourage them to be true to who they are. My oldest son has got burned before because he's so nice and kind. And he's like, Mom, you taught me to be a gentleman, but I don't even know how to, blur the lines in allowing people to take advantage of me, or is that just me being a gentleman? So like the first girl he had in college, he was holding a purse. I was like, whoa, Playboy, this is what you're not going to do. You're not going to be holding the little girl's purse. This is what we ain't doing. What? And, I don't like the way she talks to you in front of me. So I know she's not respectful in front of your friends. So, I had to step in that. But I told him also, don't lose who you are as, your genuineness, your kindness. Don't start, don't let that be your villain origin story to where this girl hurt you. Now you're going to be a hoe and you ain't going, you're going to just dog everybody else out. Still, have that same integrity that you would have. My middle son, he's just like, we don't really talk about, he don't want to talk to me about relationships. But we have very in-depth conversations about other things. And then my youngest son, I'm still trying to get this boy to open his mouth. So, they're all, in different places and different spaces, but the teaching is pretty much the same. Like, don't settle down yet. Enjoy, live your life, be who you are, be your best version of yourself. And you're going to attract, regardless, of everybody else and what they do, you're going to attract the person that's going to be good for you.
Agree. This conversation is good. This is the kind of conversation I wish I had growing up, where you sat in your porch swing and you talked to your older women around you. Sometimes those conversations were had, and sometimes they weren't. This was not. I wish that it was. But we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
flynubianmoney.com. It's really easy. Everything we give you is homework that's easy. All you need to do is go and visit our website, flynubianmoney.com. If you don't know where to start with your money, you're confused. Maybe you did a little overspending at the holidays and now you don't know what to do. You're like, oh my God, I got to get back on track. You need to go to flynubianmoney.com and get your free resources. After all, we do help you build your wealth here. Okay. And you've got experts all around me. So you want to make sure that you go and get your money right. It is more critical now than you think. Hint, hint and another hint. So just do it right now. Go ahead, flynubianmoney.com. Now listen, I want to actually tackle some of the comments that were put on that video because I think they're very interesting. So Beautiful Tyron says, it's sound advice. They just messed up when they didn't tell these boys to do the same thing. Now you're in your mid-30s, educated, financially sound, mentally growing every day, and can't find an equally yoked man. Ooh. I'm a big kid's dad because y'all would have been single, divorced moms if you had babies by 18, like they did with nothing to fall back on. Let's not act like we ain't seen many of our granddaddies out there with a whole second families and grandmas couldn't leave at all. You want to be stuck or you want to be loved. You will be shamed for everything as a Black woman. I'm going to pull back. I don't know about y'all, but everything that she actually said, Noma, you're shaking your head no, but I'm going to tell you everything that person said, I have seen in one of my communities. I mean, they're growing up. I knew, I'm just making up names. Uncle Earl had 2 other families and would split time and took care of both of them. But if the women looked any kind of other way, they were shunned. So Noma, I'm going to come to you because you shook your head, and I would love to hear your comments on that. Can't hear you.
I saw a comment that was coming up on the screen that said that, well, first of all, women have a fertility window that men don't have. So that kind of took the words out of my mouth because I was thinking earlier that, men and women are not the same. And no, I don't think we should raise them the same because then it's going to be a problem for the women that the men don't have. That's the first thing. The second thing is that women mature right from the time they're born quicker than men. Even if you start a 5-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl at school at the very same time, the girl will excel and the boy won't. It's just a fact. And the same thing goes for when we get older. At 25, a woman can be ready to marry, but it's wildly outrageous to think a 25-year-old boy can marry. It's just not, he's just not going to be mature enough. Men typically mature much later, maybe even about 40. And that's why men are supposed to marry a little bit younger because the woman will be mature sooner.
That's my problem. No, you just solved it for me. They ain't matured yet in their 40s.
Yeah, they're not. So that's why I'm just shaking my head because no. Men and women are not the same and they will never be. I think I have like 10 quotes out there in the internet hemisphere constantly saying men and women are not the same. It's just not going to work the same way. No matter, it's not about our feelings. It's just about the facts.
Okay, well, how about this for someone saying if this is fact or not? Someone said in the comments that Black people don't value traditional family. Athena, do you agree with that?
I love the Cardi B picture, Rachel, with that comment. I don't think that Black people as a whole, I don't think that applies to us as a monolith. I think that a lot of us do have traditional values. And I think that the media and other things try to highlight that we don't. But at least within my social sphere, right, the Black people I know value traditional family. And I think even make efforts to try to create that, whether or not it has been successful or not. But I think we do value family and those traditions.
I can say that too. My circle, I'm very proud to say that people always come to us, our friends. They're like, when we think about relationships and we think about, how we want to structure our relationship, we look to you. That is one thing my husband and I discussed before we got married. That's what we wanted. Not only that, for ourselves, we wanted to also be a light for other people around us to see that you can work through anything that you come up against. That was for us. That was our personal experience. This is why we're still married for over 30 years. But that was very important to us. And to have my nieces and my nephews come to me and go, Auntie, do you think I should blah, 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 blah? To me, that's an honor. That's a badge of honor for me. So I can't say that we're not traditional. I know that people come to us and say that they look to us for what they consider traditionalism in our community. Dr. Lene, do you think that the idea of having it all impacts women today? Didn't we come up with the superwoman title for us?
I used to listen to this song. I think it was Karen White. It's called I'm little. She had this song called Superwoman. Early in the morning, I put breakfast on your table. I make sure that your coffee and your juice and all this. I was like, dang, you know what I'm saying?
Your eggs is over easy. Your toast is done lightly.
Yes, come on now, say it, girl. And so we grew up with this concept and this ideal of being being a superwoman. Now I'll tell you my story. My grandmother had 5 girls, and all her girls had girls. So I am surrounded by strong, powerful women. And so all I know is superwoman. I don't have any uncles. I don't got no brothers. I do on my dad's side, but on my mom's side growing up, no brothers, no uncles, no man cousins on my mom's side. So all I know is how to be a superwoman. We do it all. We do everything. Like we go take the trash, got to be taken out. The this got to be done. The woman got to do it. And then you're watching, the media, and you're hearing your aunties and you're hearing different things on. You have to take care of it. You got to be the one that does this. You got to be the one that just executes everything because there's no man there. I think that society and how our parents were raised and the fact that there wasn't always men around has caused women to have the ideology of make sure you can take care of yourself. Women got to a place where they didn't have anybody to turn to. It's the ideology where women, I don't agree with this one. I feel like they're the mother and the father, right? Because there was nobody there. Society put us into this position of being a superwoman. And then we turned around and looked at our daughters and said, make sure this doesn't happen to you. Make sure you can take care of yourself. Make sure that you don't have to let nobody pay your way. Make sure you can always have a roof over your head. Make sure, because these women felt like they were left to hold the bag and they weren't prepared. They didn't have the same opportunities that we have today. They weren't able to make the same money that we can make today. I've watched my mom work 2 and sometimes 3 jobs to take care of her 3 daughters. And so I don't think it was done intentionally to make us be superwomen, women that don't need men, superwomen that shouldn't get married, superwomen that shouldn't run after husbands or be open to husbands, not run after. You should never run after men, but you know what I mean? Be available and open and wanted. I think they just wanted to make sure that we were protected and that we could take care of ourselves. And then we ran with this narrative of, I don't need anybody. I can do it by myself. Let me go get the bag. Let me go do this. And then you get to a place where you've surpassed the men because they weren't taught that same thing of go out and get the bag, go out and They weren't taught that same thing. And so while they're having a good time, go out and sow your oats. Don't worry about it. Don't settle down too quickly. Go and have fun. We are to Noma's point, at 5 o'clock, at 5, we're playing house at 5. We're thinking about getting married at like 5 and 6 with our dolls. They playing Legos and having a good time, duck hunt. You know what I'm saying? We are born thinking about family and relationship. They're not. And so we take on the superwoman to make sure that we can protect ourselves. And then you get back into a corner and we built this thing that makes it really difficult for strong women or superwomen or whatever you want to call it, and a man to be able to come together and have relationships. I would definitely love to hear somebody talk about the role of being quote unquote a superwoman and being a wife and how you harmoniously balance that. Because when you become somebody's wife, it comes with some things. You got to be able to, I'm not going to say push down.
Being a wife is work, say Lene. Being a wife is a job. And I always say that. And people look at me like I'm talking to 2 heads. And that's why I say women just need to calm down because they're focused on the wing and the day. And no one really talks about the truth of how much work it is. And if you did know that you'd vet and wait for a certain type of man to show up in your life, or else you are going to crumble and die of stroke, heart attack, all kind of things, because you won't have time to self-care because you're walking in a situation that you don't know or understand.
Well, you know what? Like Constance, you grew the largest Black brokerage in California. That takes a lot of work. That's a massive accomplishment. And I'm like, yeah, but you also had a family and a marriage. Can you speak to how maybe you dealt with the pressures of family life and business, being a successful superwoman? And we're just labeling that because that's what it was labeled. How did that manifest in your life?
I mean, it was tough, but I was fortunate that my husband at the time was comfortable in doing his thing. And that means like making sure the kids were good, at school, daycare, soccer practice, tutoring and all that stuff. So I didn't have to worry about that. He cooked, so I didn't have to worry about that. We had, housekeepers and pool people and stuff like that. But I didn't have to like do a lot, like come home, clean up and do all that stuff when I came home. So that was cool. But I did work very, very, very hard. But I want to disagree with what you guys are talking about with men and women. And I know that we do mature differently. I think because we're in a patriarchal society that we give men a pass for their irresponsible behavior. We allow them to do the thing, to sow their royal oats. We give them excuses as to why they're not stepping up and being men. And we need to make sure that men are held accountable to the same standards that we have for women. So it's funny when I talk to men out here, they like, yeah, it's hard for Black women because men got their options. I got options too. And I'm not out. Yeah, listen, I'm not pressed. I got just as many options as you, Playboy. It is not a problem for me to get nobody. But I think, we have to, the problem is women aren't holding men responsible for their behavior. They're allowing them maybe for desperation, but I don't know. There's something that just shifted with men, because when you look at the previous generations before, men could get married at 18, 25. And even though some were players and some weren't being responsible, there were quite a few that were. So I just think that we just give men too many passes on allowing them to not be committed. I hear people talk about, well, it's not natural to be monogamous. Okay, well, I'll pass on you because it just tells me that you don't have the discipline to be monogamous. That's all. Men can be monogamous just as women. I mean, if I want to be a hoe, I could be a hoe too. Like, you guys don't monopolize being hoes. We all could be hoes. We could all do the same thing. We just have more discipline and we don't want to run ourselves thin. You guys got self-control. They just don't exercise it and we allow them not to.
I think that's a great point for us to think about and take a break, because I see Noma. I can't wait to get back from this break because I know Noma, you got something to say. So let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was listening to our podcast on Spotify. And you can too. Like when you are busy and you can't see us online every day because you might have a business meeting, right? Or maybe you need to go take that job. Well, put these little earphones on and take us with you. And all you have to do is go to Spotify and look up Fly Nubian Money, and you will see all of our episodes pop up. Now, here's what we want you to do. Give us a 5-star rating because we worth actually 10, but they only allow you to get 5. Okay, so go ahead and give the 5 so that other people can find us as well. But that meeting that you had to go to where you had to miss us? Well, maybe you need to delegate some work, right? Maybe you can't do it all. You can't do it all. Superwoman right now, you can't do it all. So all you need to do is use our magic email address. If you need help with your business, you just need to email us and let us know. Let us take some of the pressure off of you at info@realvirtual.net. Now, Noma, I don't know what you were shaking your head. Were you in agreement, disagreement? Tell us about what you were thinking while Constance was explaining her position.
Okay, so it's not really about my position. I just really like to deal with facts, right? The fact is, and you all will kind of, when you think about it, will kind of agree, or at least I expect you to. If you get a woman who runs around and sleeps with a bunch of men, she's called a hoe, yes. If you get a man that does that, people shrug it off. That's just a fact in society. That's just a fact.
Doesn't make it right.
So, yeah. And that's because, again, we're just different, but that's not the hill that I want to die on. What I wanted to go back on, what I was talking about also with facts was, I always want to really, really stress that us being strong, like Dr. Lene was saying, isn't always by choice, but actually that is not what by default is good for us. Because if you, again, look at facts and statistics, you'll find that Black women by far have the most fibroids, blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. All of these are stress-related illnesses because we literally take on too much. And it's just not healthy for us. On the contrast, if you give a man too much work, it doesn't deteriorate him the same way it deteriorates a woman. Again, that's just a fact.
Yes, but 10.5% of men in the U.S. workforce are in prime working age and have left the workforce, leaving about 7 million men out actively not participating in the workforce. But they are biologically designed to work more than us, but they reject having to do that and reject that notion.
Say that first part again. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay, so the statistic is 10.5% of men in prime working years in the United States have voluntarily opted out of the workforce. So prime years age 25 to 54, leaving 7 million men choosing not to work. Not meaning that they're actively looking and can't find, like has exited the workforce.
Are they retired? What are they doing? Are they earning money or are they just chilling?
Probably laying up on somebody, them, holding them down, girl. I don't know what they doing, but what I want to talk about is what doesn't
is this
get
Black men or this is all men?
This is all men. This is all men, right? In the U.S., all men. This is not exclusive to Black men. Men do not receive the support that they need in their formative years to create men who exemplify a certain level of character, virtue, discipline, in order to be good husbands. If a man does not launch,
say it again. You were cutting out, Athena. Say it again.
Men do not receive the support that they need, and mostly from other men, by the way, because I feel like women can't fully give all that support. It has to be other men, because that's who they understand and train and look up to. They do not receive enough support needed to properly launch into adulthood in ways that will manifest as a supportive husband and contribute to society in a certain way. Mixter, make it make sense comment at 1:38 p.m. Most men will not be that kind of husband without resentment. Why? Because they're thrown into these positions and roles not fully being groomed and trained and developed to handle it, and are buckling under the pressure. And because there is not enough men who meet that, then it leaves all this pressure on the women to somehow scour the earth and find the quality ones to continue the dating and marriage market. The problem with the dating and marriage market, and there's no issue with chasing a career or having a business or whatever the case may be. The problem is, regardless of whether you have a career or not, all women, whether or not you are deciding that you want to stay home, be a traditional wife, or you want to beat that pavement and be a boss chick, or somewhere in between, have to go to the same market of men to choose from. And there's just not enough men who will make husbands without being resentful of those positions, because they lack the tools, training, and desire. And what they really need is the support and training of men who are in those husband positions to help guide them through. But that they can't receive that. You can't force men to train and mentor and support other men. So the answer is men really supporting themselves.
Are we talking about in America or globally?
wherever this shows up, whether it's in America or elsewhere, I do think in other countries, because they have a traditional family system that seems to be replicated, that happens more often. I think the issue is more prominent in America, but regardless, even on a global stage, if we look at Western societies and other places, they're experiencing these shifts, but not as a drastic rate as we are experiencing in America.
Ooh,
You know what? You actually have a good point. I say this all the time. Where do Black men go for support? Who do they turn to? Who do they talk to? As women, we have tribes, but I'll often wonder, even just in the media, everybody talks to Black women. We talk to Black women about relationships. We talk to Black women about business. We talk about everything is geared towards the woman. You don't see the same energy and effort put into growing, developing, teaching Black men that you do Black women. And so I often wonder, like, how does a Black man grow? Where does he turn to get knowledge, education to be poured into? Because they don't want to get it from us. So who are they getting it from? They're not necessarily getting it at the church. They don't want to do therapy. So how do they get it? Like, there needs to be more Black men that are talking to Black men, more Black mentors, more Black men that take an interest in other Black men. Because a Black man, listen, if a Black man gets involved in another Black man's life or a young Black man's life who has the same language and vernacular and understanding, it does something. It does something different than any other person, mother, a white person, doctor, but just a Black man that can stand in and speak life into another man. And we don't see that a lot or enough. And so you have these men out here just ripping and running.
I blame white supremacy. White supremacy.
I love gossip.
You knew that was
But
coming.
she's right.
I'll wait on it.
You already knew, because white supremacy has broken down the Black family from the end of the Civil War to Reconstruction, to the welfare system, to Black codes, to mass incarceration, to drugs, to rap music and hip hop. All of those things have been targeted efforts to destroy the Black man. So then you don't have, like, I was talking, so I don't know how I should say this, if I should say this. So at my son goes to Jackson, and there's a large number of homosexuals there, right? So this guy DM'd me, because his son goes there, because there was a video went viral and that I posted that went viral, and then this guy DM'd me. But one of the things he told me was that in Mississippi, there's a large population of incarcerated Black men. There's not a whole lot of men in the home, and then there's a lot of molestation in these homes. And so then the boys, there's a lot of boys over there that are like that. And so, my son's been harassed majorly at that school. But when you don't have Black men in the home, it's just an array of things that can happen. Not just that, but the breakdown of the family and the family structure and all of those things that happens as a result of white supremacy and the breakdown of the Black family.
I'm 1000% with you. It all leads back to how they wanted to make sure that our communities were kept down and separated. It all goes back to that. That's trauma that's getting passed down to generation to generation to generation. And everyone wants to keep saying, pull yourself up by bootstraps. Well, you're already fighting with an uneven deck. So I don't want to hear nothing about how we don't try, because there is Black excellence. You just don't want to see it, and you don't want to be around it. Now, I do want to pull up another video, because I think it's really interesting to see kind of a contrast. So let's check this out.
But I guess the whole thing about, dimming your shine or not being too vocal about things, or the thought that you might scare a man away because you are successful, or you look like you've got a lot of money, or whatever it might be. I find it very hard to process. I'm not going to change anything about myself so that somebody else who might come in will feel more comfortable, because it's okay, should I just stop doing things? Should I quit my job? Should I stop earning? Should I stop just so that someone can feel okay, I've got something to offer her, sort of thing. And I end up with this person who's comfortable that they can come into my life and, we're compatible because I don't look like I'm doing too much, and, I'm not already a made woman. If that's the aim, it's just, I don't see it as a practical long-term thing. I actually think that quite a lot of people that I've dated do kind of like the fact that the person that they're dating is like, switched on, got some stuff going on with herself. I know not everybody feels secure in that, and there's a whole bunch of guys who like have insecurities around that. But my thing is that if somebody would feel a way about a woman being successful or having certain things, that person is not for me. That's not my man. Like, that's not the kind of person I would want to go for anyway. And to be honest, like, even if I wasn't doing things or successful, I still wouldn't want to be with somebody who would feel a way about a woman having certain things or being successful, because if that happens for me down the line, what am I going to do now? Do you know what I mean? We're going to have problems because I'm doing things in my life. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's very interesting. She sounded like she was kind of pouring her heart out about that, but it's a major dilemma for her, but not a dilemma at the same time. So let's take a quick break and we'll get back into this conversation.
Are you ready to take your brilliant business idea and turn it into income? So my name is Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA, wealth coach, and also a Fly Nubian Money host. And I am partnering with the Fly Nubian Money Club to bring you this exclusive training called Idea to Income, how to supercharge or elevate your current business and using the power of AI. So in this training that is exclusive only to the Fly Nubian Money Club, you will learn how to take your brilliant business idea and turn it into a money-making machine or elevate a current business if you have one already. You will learn the AI tools that will help you supercharge your business, save time and slash costs. And then you will also have a plan and a strategy in how to execute that flawlessly. So if you're interested in that, please be sure to sign up at the flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I will see you in the training.
I'm going to tell Athena to speak to it.
Listen, have your faith in the place. We are having the next training, Idea to Income, where I'm going to help supercharge and streamline taking your idea and showing you how to turn that into income and cash. So if you want to sign up for that training, you can sign up at the flynubianmoneyclub.com. It will have 2 hours of me, the goddess, honey. And I know I talk a lot on here, but I also have a brain, y'all. And I will definitely show you how to act on those New Year's goals for your business with speed and efficiency with AI.
Absolutely fantastic. You've got to move forward with the way technology is. Do not let it pass you by. This is your opportunity to get in and learn something that can help elevate you. And then y'all just got to get in on the Fly Nubian Money Club. We've had 2 trainings before. And if you get in during the trial, you'll be able to see those. You had Constance and you had me. And now you've got the goddess. So there's no reason at all you should be sitting there twiddling your thumbs trying to figure out what your next move is, because we are helping you to make that move. So get on in. Don't miss out. Do not miss out. flynubianmoneyclub.com. Now, I do want to come back a little bit before we move forward. Dr. Vibe said this is a very interesting conversation. I do not think there are not supports for Black men. Another challenge is that if the supports are out there, will they take the first step to getting help? He deals a lot with dealing with Black men. And so he actually has a lot to say on this subject. So is that, I'm going to ask you, Nona, do you agree with his statement? Can't hear you.
Yeah. So when Lene was talking, Dr. Lene was talking, and she was saying, where would they get the support? Where would I get? I wanted to scream from their fathers. But then Constance actually then answered it and said, there's a reason why fathers are not there. So, you have those 2 things going on. And, I am glad to say that this isn't always the case. But I am saddened that we have to ask, like, where could a young man get mentorship from? For a lot of people, it's actually obvious if you have a father and a mother that it's obviously supposed to come from your mother. Your father. Just in the same way, if you were talking about a young woman, their first role model is their mother, and we shouldn't have to wonder where they would get mentorship and so forth. So I just wanted to answer that. And then, okay, I won't get ahead of myself.
No, don't get ahead of yourself. Keep on.
I was was gonna answer to the young lady who was talking in the video, and she kept saying, well, successful this, successful that, as if getting married, maintaining your marriage, and having children and raising healthy, functional children isn't a success. That in of itself is a huge success. It's a rare success. So she kind of has this thing of, well, I want to be successful, blah, 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 as if that isn't success. But that to me is the greatest success. And I don't think that it's fair to kind of toss it to the side as if it's an afterthought.
Interesting, because Athena, I want you really agree with that. So do you think that she was putting that as an afterthought?
I think every woman has to make a decision on what it is going to be for you, right? As a woman who has her own business and career, I am currently single, but I am taking appointments, honey, okay, until I got a ring on my finger. However, I do value, and some people might find it surprising, I do value family and children. And I actually was at a doctor's appointment talking to a doctor about fertility and all of these things and things that I have to consider as a young woman. But I did have that conversation, and I'll share with you. I told him straight up, I said, listen, if there's no man and no family unit, there's no children for me personally, because I value having that structure in place. One, and I'm not trying to sign up for no single mother struggle. I've seen women do it. It is too hard. And I'm not trying to stress myself, raise my cortisol level and die early. So, I think that in this society, we only look at other forms of accomplishment in a career, right? And as a woman who has these things, to say that is not going to be enough, it's not going to fill your emotional and spiritual buckets. And you have to decide for yourself if a man and a family is a part of that. And to what Norma was saying, we don't have the luxury of delaying that when we have biological factors. That is just part of the game. However, what I do think men do a disservice in how society set men up for fail is that they think that they have all this time that they don't have. They think they have all this time to, sow your roll oats, thought and bop, do this and the third. I can have kids at 50 if I want to. And what people don't let you know that is when you finally come into some maturation process, you are behind the men who from early on decided to get it and now are enjoying the benefits of having their established careers, their established families, and are moving along a certain way. And now you are in a level of frustration, and that seeps out in the woman that you meet, date, and all these other things. You are in a level of frustration because you have not hit certain adult male markers because you were under the illusion that you had all this time to have fun and not gain skills, not focus on your education, not doing all these things. And you have your other male peers that are outpacing you, and you are left behind in income and all other factors that make you attractive. And now you're taking this frustration out on the people around you, and because a lot of you don't have mentors or fathers who you can guide you through this thing. So you are left alone to fester in these feelings. And that is what we see a lot in men today.
I think you have a point, but we also have some beautiful men who are here all the time, every day. I have to give shout outs to Big Mac and Black Lexicon. You guys always come in and you stand ground, and we appreciate you. And we just want you to know that we see you. We don't take you for granted. All right. So, oh my God, this hour, I can sit here and talk about this all day, but it's time for final thoughts. So, Dr. Lene, what are your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
I think my final thought is just to say what you want. If you want to be married, say you want to be married. If you want to have a man, say you want to have a man. If you want to go after your career, go after your career. Like, there is no box. You don't have to do it one particular kind of way. Each to each his own, right? I think that white supremacy has messed us up. I think feminism has messed us up. I think that Mama and them have messed us up. I think that you can be a superwoman. You can be strong. You can be tenacious. You can be aggressive in business and you can have a loving husband relationship and children. I don't know if you consider that having it all. I think you have to decide what all looks like for you and then be okay with going after it, whatever that is. It doesn't have to look like what your mom and them had. It doesn't have to look like what your homegirl have. It's deciding what it is for you. Also, we were taught to chase careers. My husband says, Black millennial women, you don't have to do what you were taught to do. You can go against the grain. So I think that at the end of the day, and I'm so angry with myself for learning this later in life at 48, that you can literally do what you want to do. You can literally have what you want to have. We were sold into being independent and doing it on your own by yourself and not having a man to do it with you. You can have both. And so that's literally what my final word is. And I say that to all of my girlfriends, all of the younger girls coming up behind me. You can have both. It's okay. You can be strong, you can be successful, and you can have a relationship, and you can have a family. Do it in your time. There's no time limit except for the egg piece, except for the clock of time, woman's time. But there's no rush by meaning you gotta do it by 20. You gotta do it by 30. Do what makes you feel good. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. You can find me at I am Dr. Lene Javette.
You're muted.
Gremlin. Now, hold on a second.
I think your mute button is the gremlin. I don't think it's no gremlin. It's you.
I don't think I be muting myself, but that's all right. Maybe I make too much noise in the background because I'll be like, All right. So listen, you have an assignment. You have to go to check out Dr. Lene because she has a lot of things for you. She is brilliant. She has a lot of guides and she can help you in your business as well. So that's your homework assignment. Go stalk and chicken hawk. All right, Constance, your turn. What are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So, the thing I think I have an issue with this conversation is the absolutes. I don't think there's any absolutes within any situation. The conversation is that this is what we were taught and this is what we have to do. And this is how we have to do this and we should do this. We should either do this or we should do that. And the reality is we don't have to do anything. And I think that when we get from chasing things like career, like money, like success, like love, then we'll be in a happier place. I don't chase, I attract. And so we got to get to a place and space where we're not chasing things, material things, and whatever the world has. Like we have the ability to design our lives the way we want to. It's just a matter of us positioning ourselves to what we really want and whatever makes us happy. So I think the idea of marriage is wonderful. Family is wonderful. Success is wonderful. And success could be all of those things. It could be money. But love is the ultimate thing that we need, because I don't care how much money that you have. If you don't have love in your life, and that could be, it could be agape love, it could be eros love, it could be whatever. If you don't have the love in your life, then all of that is worthless. So that's my take on it. When it comes to Black women, I look at wealth as a holistic experience, and that's what I teach the ladies in the Net 7 Collective. And our new cohort is coming up January 29th. I want you guys to take a moment and go to my website, ConstanceCarter.com. Just go right now. Check it out. Check out everything I have to offer. The Net 7 Collective, we're releasing our book. This is the draft copy, but we're releasing our book, Unbreakable. If you want to be an author, if you want to learn how to write a book and tell a story, I got you. If you want to learn how to take your idea into a monetizable business, I got you. If you want to learn investment strategies, guess what? I got you there too. So if you want to learn how to grow your money, not just Black women, I coach men too. I have the Grow Your Money Club. So I have a plethora of offerings. I encourage you to go to my website, ConstanceCarter.com, and check out my offerings. And there may be something that I can help you with in 2025. I would love to. That's it. Where can you find me? I am Constance Carter.
Gave you an assignment. Make sure that you go to her website. Say your website again, please, Constance.
ConstanceCarter.com.
There you go. You can do that. And then you also follow her at I am Constance Carter. Now, listen, I have to tell you, Big Mac gave you your props, Constance. He said you flowing today 100%. Tina, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Final thoughts are this. Now, I know I said a lot, but that's because I'm passionate. Sometimes I can't worry about the tone. I just want y'all to get the message, right? I just want y'all to get the message. I do think that women can have their way that they create income for themselves, right? But I also think that having a husband or a family, if that is what you desire, you should not feel ashamed of, you should not feel stupid for, you should not feel like that is out of your reach. Personally, I put family first and then all of the other stuff after, but that is just, you know, a traditional woman that I am deep down inside my heart. Men, and I want to say this to you. I know, you know, I was hard today. I was hard. But that's because I care. That's because I know the greatness that lies within you guys. I know that for a lot of it, a lot of you have not been supported by other men and you are out here flailing, trying to figure it out, right? However, you still have to decide what kind of man you want to be and how you want to show up. And you still have to decide that regardless of what you did or did not get when growing up, that everything that is due to you, you're going to get regardless, right? And that is type of energy I want to see our men to embody as they become the men that we need you guys to be to support healthy, functional, and happy families. Now, the core of that as well is economics. And you know, I have the training coming up at the flynubianmoneyclub.com, so make sure to sign up for that. However, especially for my ladies who may be struggling how to balance money, career, finances, and family, I have the best course available to you. It's called The Goddess Guide to Money. I talk about money from an abundance, attracting standpoint. I talk about money from a financial standpoint because I'm a CPA. And I talk about money from a dating and relationship standpoint as well. And I offer my unique perspectives on that. So if you are a woman who are interested in learning how to manage money, career, and that man, that course will be for you. For all other offerings, you can find them at elevatewithathena.com, which includes my social media and my podcast.
Elevate with Athena. She's got it all for you. Please make sure that you sign up for her training as well. She's got a lot of good stuff for you. And of course, you know, she's our goddess, right? She knows how to stir the pot when she needs to stir the pot and makes you start thinking about things. You know, you be thinking about stuff as soon as we're done. But now it's time to hear what Nona has to say. Nona, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So one of my, my common taglines is that women can have it all, just not at the same time. And it really is true. I do believe that as women, it is in our nature to nurture, and our men, it's in their nature to protect and to provide. And when that comes together, it really works beautifully. In terms of where you can find me, I just put it here in the comments for you, the hosts, to be able to see it. You can find me at themochamoguls.com if you're interested in programs that I offer. The brand is M3, which focuses on marriage, motherhood, and money making in that order. You can also find me, I'm a social media person. You can find me a lot on Facebook under this name, Nomalangam Sauli. And then I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. And I actually do have a YouTube channel that you can search. It's been nice talking to you, ladies.
We are so glad that you are here today with us. We really appreciated all of your input. And I know you said it may not be popular, but it needed to be said because there are many, many ways to look at this. And that's just the way it is. And here's my final thought. You got to start with you. What is it that you want to do in your life? Yes, I agree. You can have it all, but I also agree that you can't have it all the time, because if you're constantly on 24 hours a day, what good are you to anyone, especially yourself? So really think about what it is that you want in your life and how you would like to go about it. Now, we all know life is not some sit down and go, okay, at the age of 25, we're going to have kids. At the age of 30, we're going to. It doesn't work that way. But in general, if you set out your plans for your life, a lot of the times you will hit the goals that you want to achieve the most. Just take care of you and do not let someone to tell you what you ought to do in your life. I'm a living witness to that. When I had my son at 16, I let everyone tell me I couldn't do anymore. And in hindsight, oh yes, I could have. So don't let anyone else hold you back, because the only one that can hold you back for real is you. And you can find me and a lot of free resources on my website. It's www.laurakey.net. And I do want to take the time. I will continue to always talk about this. The fires are still raging in Los Angeles, California. There are historic Black areas that are also burning that are not being talked about. So if you live in that area or you want to donate to any good cause there, especially the American Red Cross, go to my website. There is a button that will take you directly to a link of list of places that you can donate and get resources. Please don't forget about our people in Los Angeles. They are still struggling. And now it's becoming kind of that was last week's news when the fires are not contained. So I want to say thank you for being here. Once again, I've already called out some people. Dr. Vibe, we thank you. Joe, we thank you. We love to hear from our men. Oh my God, we love to hear from our men because we do need to have these conversations open and honestly. So this has been a very powerful discussion. We've tackled the double standards, the pressures, the challenges millennial women face when deciding how to balance careers and families. But here's what we've learned. Every woman's journey is different, and there's no right or wrong timeline. Whether you prioritize your career, your family, or both, the most important thing is that you make choices that align with your values and goals. So we thank you. We thank you because we know you could have spent some time somewhere else. We thank you for joining us on this episode of Fly Nubian Money. Be sure to like, be sure to share, and subscribe so that you don't miss more conversations that help you stay focused on your money and your mindset. We will see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out. Oh, wait. We do have a special award. We have a special award. Wait. And the Dusty Ass Award of the day goes to anonymous person.
Well deserved.
Well deserved, sir. Well deserved. First of all,
Thank you, Anonymous, for all of your negativity. It fuels us.
yes, it does. But personally, what really makes you Dusty, dude, is the fact that you're not man or woman, because we never know, enough to put your real name up. So here's your award, sir. Have a Dusty day.
The